I would have loved to meet Hitler and show him that. I said, you might have killed 6 million Jews, over 100 million Poles and others, but you didn't succeed. I and my family approve that you didn't succeed. I was born in Poland, in a city called Łódź, or Lodz. It was, at that time, the second largest city in Poland. I went to school like any normal child, and everything was great, till I was about 9 years old. Within a very short time, Britain and France declared war on Germany, and by that time, half the country was already with German troops. Before I went to the ghetto, there was quite a lot of Jewish people, like in the east end of London, lived there. But there was a big problem because there was no room for us. You've got to remember that Łódź had 260,000 Jews living there. Can you imagine? This is the same amount that Britain has got today. But as a child, I think we thought about it differently, because most of us didn't think of dying. People are dying of starvation, of disease, and we could never understand it. We're producing stuff for the Germans, for the German war effort we are working. Why do they want to kill us? It took me a long time to realize why. Because they hated the Jews more than anything else. In 1942, some German officers came to the people that were running the ghetto, and they said they need 70,000 people to go and work in Germany. My grandmother said to me, she's going into hiding. Would I go to hiding with her? I said, what do I need to go into hiding? I'm 12 years old now. I look about 9 or 10. Surely they won't take me there. What do they want me for? And so she went into hiding, I didn't. Next morning, when I woke up, and they slung me onto that lorry. When I looked who was in that lorry, there was children, babies, old people, disabled people. And I jumped off the lorry. And I started to run, and I hid myself in the house. Now, had they seen me, they would have shot me. It was never a question of stop or I'll shoot. They just shot people and so on. And all I can tell you, we never had a single word, nobody had a single word from all those people that were taken away. Most people only know about Auschwitz, but there were worse ones than Auschwitz. Because all the other small ones, they were only open like 10 months to a year. And 10,000, 100,000, 400,000. Jewish, most of them were Jewish people. And nobody survived those camps like Treblinka, Majdanek, Chelmno, Sobibor. My grandmother and I and all the other people arrived at the railway station, and the first thing I said to her, I can't see any trains. She said, they're standing in front of you. I said, they're not for us, they're cattle trucks. She says, that's all there is. They opened those trucks, those doors. They packed us in. There was no way that you could sit down, except sitting on somebody, because it was so, they couldn't close those doors. And not so long ago, I spoke to my 2 daughters, and I said, I've got something in my mind, and I can't get rid of it. I've been trying so hard, and I feel so ashamed of it. And one of my daughters said, why are you ashamed? Why? What have you done? I said, I've done nothing. But how can a 14-year-old child hope people should die so he'll have room where to sit down? What has become of me? I was completely dehumanized. I didn't care about anybody or anything. All I wanted was to live. After a few days traveling, we had where to sit down for a simple reason. Every morning they used to open those shutters and take out dead bodies of people that died, children, grown-ups, and from starvation, from disease, from suffocation, whatever. And one early morning when we woke up, or if we slept, I saw through the slits. It said Auschwitz, and I didn't know what Auschwitz was. They opened those doors, they told they take everybody now to the showers. They called out, our names. All those people that were in the metal factory were put aside to one side. But there were other people on it. They had to go through a selection. Guards were pointing right, left, right, left. Everybody that went to the right or to the left, I don't know, don't remember, were old people, disabled people, children, and also women holding babies. They took them to the showers, that's what they told them. They put them into that room, they closed those doors. A guard went behind it. There was a little opening. He opened it, threw some Cyclone B gas there. Within 20 minutes, everybody in that room was dead. I haven't even got a name. All I am is 84,303. Luckily, we didn't stay long in that place in Birkenau. All the people that's going to Germany to work, we're going to another camp. It's a concentration camp, not an extermination camp. And it was Stutthof. And this is the only place I thought I was going to die. From Stutthof to Burggraben, and unfortunately I was very, very ill, When we arrived there, Danzig was on fire. Eventually we arrived to a German port called Neustadt in Schleswig-Holstein. We were sitting waiting onto those boats and there were planes above us. They started bombing and one of the bombs hit one of the boats. And people are jumping off the boat, most to their death, and they screaming, and then it stopped. And we were sitting and waiting on the boat. Somebody said to us, "Look around you. You're surrounded by British tanks." That was 3rd of May 1945, that I was liberated by the British Army. We stayed in the camp a while, then we came to a children's home, and then we found the great news that Britain and Sweden is allowing 1,000 children to come to their countries. When it came to me, they said, "Do you want to go to Sweden?" I said, "No." "Do you want to go to England then?" I said, "No, I don't want to go to England. I want to go to Palestine." I said, I've got nobody in England. 2 boys came to pick me up, and they gave me a letter from London, England. And I said, "London, England, who's going to write to me?" Maybe one of those boys that went to England. I opened the letter, it's written in English by a woman. She says she found my name on a Red Cross list in Woburn House in London. She said she used to live in Poland, in the same city as that name on that board. I had a son with the same name, but the age was different. And when I read on, she said, "I remember when he was very, very young, when I left him. He burned himself on his left wrist. Maybe there is still a mark." I looked at my friends and I looked at that scar and I said, for 11 or 12 years I thought my mother was dead. She's not dead. She's alive, living in London, England. And she wants me to come to England. But I'm not going to England. She might be my mother, but she's a stranger to me. I don't know that lady. You are my family. You saved my life. And you can imagine how they started screaming at me. He says, "You're lucky enough to have a mother? Look at your friends. They've got no mother, no father, no brother, no sister." I decided to come. The first 6 months being in England were hell for me, for a simple reason. I missed my family and that I left in Germany when I came here. And then by accident, one day I was already working in tailoring, which I hated. I met somebody, I don't even remember who it was, and he said to me, "Do you know the kids that came here in 1945? They've got a club in Belsize Park called Primrose Youth Club. Why don't you go there on a Saturday night?" So I said, "All right, I'll go." One day I went, Saturday night, knocked on the door, they opened the door, and the first sentence I uttered, I said, "At last I found my family again." And all I can tell you, they're still my family today, even the ones that I didn't like. Within an hour, my life completely changed. I started to live